So what is this year's news story about the state of the Baltic Sea region?
Well, first of all, I think what we see is that the top of Europe is still overperforming in terms of its comparison with the rest of Europe. So we're still strong, but what we see in this report is very clearly that there is a concern about the future. There is a concern about our European neighborhood, and I think an increasing realization about what that will mean for us. But there are also issues in individual countries in our region that we've become much more aware through the crisis and an impact than we might have been a year or 2 years before. The report, I think, usually kind of tries to really do three things. It tries to help us understand where do we stand in terms of the economic situation, how do we tracking in terms of economic performance. It tries to look at cooperation in the region, so really trying to understand how are we leveraging the many networks, projects and institutions that we've built up across the Baltic Sea region over the last couple of years. And then the third part is really looking at two issues that will be quite important for the future. One is transportation infrastructure and the other is green growth. And I think we'll have interesting aspects covered in the report on those two as well.
And economically, you write that you find the region in solid shape with strong growth in 2011. What about the nearest future?
Yeah, what we really see is that the reality is changing around us as we speak. Things are very fast-paced. So if you look at the data for 2011, it actually does look very solid. We are doing quite well. This was still the time of kind of recovery coming out of the crisis, and most of the headline figures look quite well if you look at annual averages. Now what we know, however, and you just have to look at the news, is that there are serious concerns about the future. We don't know what is going to happen in Greece. We don't know what necessarily is going to happen in Spain. What we do know is that this is going to affect our region. It's not only what happens in China and Brazil, that's important for us as well, but it's primarily what's going to happen in Europe. And I think that is something that we quite clearly see in this report this year.
And you say the region, if there was some kind of superiority in the last 2 years, now it's replaced by a focus on the more country-specific challenges. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I think we had a sense, we talk, and we still do talk about the top of Europe for this region. There's good sense of being proud of what we have achieved. By the way, also those regions like in the Baltics, like Latvia, that kind of come out of the crisis. But what we do see is that, just doing better in comparison than the south of Europe is not enough. We're here today in Copenhagen, in Denmark. Denmark has been going through very serious budget cuts. And it's not an easy economic situation. There are issues in the banking system. There are a lot of changes that need to have pushed through. And I think that is now coming more and more to our awareness. Yes, as a region, we are overall doing better than the rest of Europe, but we do face country-specific challenges that are in many cases quite serious and not very easy to tackle.
About the EU strategy for the Baltic Sea region, you say it's a highly useful organizing framework. But it's not amounting to a step change in regional integration. What can be a better tool to get that goal?
I think before looking at what are the better solutions, I think we have to go back and really become much clearer about what our ambition is here. What's the vision? Because what the European EU Baltic Sea region strategy has done has happened within a certain context. No new money, no new institutions. So there was a certain vision around this, and within this vision, I think it has functioned very well. It has helped us to much better coordinate what we're doing in the Interact program and other corporations across the region, bringing the regional institutions and networks kind of in line with one overarching strategy. That being said, I think what people expected, and I think what got a lot of excitement going in the beginning, was even broader. It was even grander. It was really this idea that we would have a common strategy where a lot of the national policies and national actions would be kind of directly connected to what we discuss in the EU Baltic Sea region strategy. My sense is increasingly is that that is still a possibility, but if we want to get there, we need to make much more deep-going architectural changes in the way that we govern and run this strategy. It's not that one is good and the other is bad, but it is that we need to become clear about what our vision, what our level of ambition is, and then choose the tools accordingly. And I think that is very important, rather than say, oh no, this tool hasn't worked, let's throw it aside and look for something new.
But you are an optimist.
I'm an optimist, absolutely. I do think there's a lot of things to be optimistic in this region about. We have earned our better performance over the last couple of years. It has come on the back of more solid policies, much stronger institutions. I think we've become much more aware that really institutions are often behind why some countries are able to choose better policies than others. And so I think there is an optimism. Our institutions haven't eroded. I think we still have the ability to make the right kind of choices. But there's no doubt about it. The weather around us is quite rough, and we'll have to deal with a difficult period ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Ketels.
Thank you.